All right. I can't hear you on mute.
It's now.
Oh,
Sorry,
that's
I
okay.
just got Bria.
Oh, okay. We're ready whenever you guys are ready. It's recording.
Okay, okay. So on behalf of me and Bria, I just want to say thank you everybody for even planning to come to our wedding. I know it's difficult times right now with COVID and the pandemic, and just you even wanting to come shows us how much you actually really love us. And on behalf of me and Bria, I really thank you guys.
Great, great. Well, Mark and Bria, destination weddings, it can be a little hectic sometimes, and your guests are actually the fact that they're showing up is absolutely amazing. It definitely shows you how much they love you. I will say when you get there, to everyone on the line and Mark and Bria, just embrace it. It's just going to be, I anticipate most time that destination weddings with families, it's just a huge fun time. So whatever you guys do, have a fantastic time. And unfortunately, I will not be able to make it for reasons beyond my control, unfortunately. But have a fantastic time for me. Have a what is it? Uh, what's the Jamaican drink they have? A Bob Marley. Have a Bob Marley on.
I have plenty of those.
Yeah, they're some great. All right, so let's just kind of get started. Today's agenda is we're going to cover your passport reminder, travel documents, a reminder for you guys to email me your flight information by January the 20th. I have to schedule your transfers. I have to attach it, and it takes a couple days for that stuff to happen. And I just want to make sure that we get that done earlier than later. I absolutely have to have that in time. Otherwise, when you land, and you get there, you won't have any transfers, and then you're gonna have to pay for some. But with your package that you purchased with me, it includes your transfers for those of you who did not do the flight with me. So just remember to email me your flight information. Departure requirements, we're going to go over those, as well as which includes really the Jamaica tourist authorization. I'm going to grab a link here and drop it in the chat for those of you so that you can kind of have an understanding of what's required. It's easy. You can just go to visitjamaica.com and it will give you everything you need, but I'm gonna go through those steps here today. And then I'm also gonna cover your return requirements to COVID testing process. So let's kind of start talking about passports and travel docs. All right, so, well, let me go back first. The first travel tip I want to say is plan ahead. Plan ahead. Do not wait to the last minute. Everything I'm going to cover, time is of the essence, so you cannot miss these deadlines, dude. When you get to the airport, you will not be able to get on the plane, and they are not playing. And so I just want to let you know this is extremely important. Some of you purchased travel insurance, some of you did not. If you did not, then that's definitely, you're at a loss at that point. So I just want to make you aware it's absolutely important that you plan ahead and do not wait to the last minute. All right, now let's talk about passports and travel documents. Next, the very first tip, which is a huge tip, is to check your passport expiration date. Passports are required for Jamaica. All right, your passport expiration date can't be less than 6 months beyond the travel date. So if you travel on February 14th through anytime, say 14th and the 20th, I'm just giving a broad range, then 6 months beyond the 20th, your passport, that must be your expiration date. If your expiration date is not, they will not let you get on the plane and go to Jamaica. Right, so that's very important. And I know right now it's taking 4 to 6 weeks to expedite, and I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're really playing with fire if that date is expired. All right. Next thing, print your travel docs that I emailed to you. You'll need those documents. Now, within your travel documents, there's some important information in there, which is why you want to print them. I'm just going to kind of talk through one right now. I'm not going to show one because it has somebody's personal information on it. But I am going to talk through why you want to look at those travel docs. All right, so first things first is it gives you, when you check in at the hotel, you're gonna need that document at check-in, all right? Because it has all of your hotel information and your name. The name on your travel document is what they're gonna be looking for and expecting. All right, next thing with that travel doc, it includes your transfers. So with your transfers, it's extremely important to understand that the name of the company and who you're looking for when you arrive at the airport is going to be listed there. So let me see if I can pick one up here. Let's look at some travel docs here. I had one. Here we go. Itinerary, mobile. All right. So I believe I'm trying to pull up one to see if I can look at your transfers. So once you get below the hotel details, it gives you, there's a section called ground transfers. You're gonna need, this is the reason why I need to print this, because when you get to the airport, you're gonna need that so you know who to go and look for. It tells you have round trip transportation from the airport to the hotel, and it's with Amstar. And it tells you your arrival, after you arrive and clear customs, that you're to head down the arrival hall to desk number 10 inside and look for the Amstar representative. They'll wear a signature blue flowered shirt. Do not go with anyone else. Again, do not go with anyone else. You look for Amstar. If you can't find them, you ask for them. When you come through customs, if you've been to Jamaica or any country, you know, sometimes they tend to haggle you about transfers. You don't need to purchase transfers. They're already purchased for you. So that's why that travel document is important, because they're going to be looking for this documentation when you arrive, which is why you need to print this. Also at the bottom, if you have travel insurance, it gives you the details of, in case you're there in the country and you need help, who to contact. Don't contact me if something's wrong. Go directly. Well, let me know if you want to, but we need to make sure you get covered, right? So, you know, go through that, that insurance company. It also talks about the COVID-19 quarantine if you have not completed your pre-travel COVID test, and we'll talk about that shortly. It tells you about the travel advisory, and it also tells you about the mandates as required to the protocols for COVID. Any additional information, you definitely want to read through it to make sure you have it. All right. So that covers your travel documents. You want to make sure you check in online within 24 hours if you want, depending on the seating. Now they've changed some of this for traveling internationally. Sometimes you can't check in because it's international. So if you get an error, contact the airline just to make sure everything is okay. But typically an error means that they need those documents before they can legitimately check you in. Hence, which is why I'm telling you to get to the airport 3 hours in advance, right? Because we don't know how crazy the airport's going to be. Don't push to 2.5 hours. Give yourself a full 3 hours to get there, because you have documentation and paperwork that must be reviewed. And so you're not the only one. So you just have to know that. Also, because everyone's traveling on different airlines, make sure you check your airline websites for your luggage requirements. Each airline is different. There are different fees depending on weight and luggage and limitations. So make sure you go to your airline to review those items. Any questions about passports and the travel documents before I continue? And good morning for those who have joined. I saw you pop online, so thank you for joining. All right, I'm going to continue on next. So as part of your pre-departure, your first tip is plan your pre-departure COVID-19 test immediately if you can. I know you can see COVID tests as far out as 2 weeks right now. I know here in the Tidewater, Virginia area, I have not been able to book a COVID test within 7 days, right? So if you need a test, the requirement is you must complete a PCR test within 3 days of departure. Come February 1st, you need to be trying to figure out how to get that scheduled. If you're not quite sure about the date, then there is on the Jamaica link that I just posted, that I posted in the chat. Visit jamaica.com. When you go to the Jamaica travel authorization, it tells you how far in advance. There's a calculator that tells you everything. So it takes the guesswork out for you. All right. So let's talk a little bit about that travel authorization. So with the travel authorization, and I'm going to pull it over to the screen here. Can you guys see my screen where it says welcome to Jamaica? Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you. All right. So when you go to visitjamaica.com, you have to go to the travel authorization portion. That's where I am now. All right. If you scroll down, they detail the pre-travel and departing Jamaica requirements. It tells you who's required to take the COVID-19 test, PCR test, as well as how many days from the travel date. If you're not quite sure, and I'm gonna get there in a few moments, I'm gonna take you to the calculator. But the very first step prior to you completing your COVID test is you have to complete this travel application 7 days prior to travel. It is mandatory. If you do not complete this 7 days prior to travel, you will not be able to get in the country. There's absolutely nothing that I can do to help you with. All right. So to learn more about the travel authorization, I'm going to click that button. It takes me to the travel authorization and it tells you get your travel authorization here. All right. Each person traveling has to do it. So if it's 2 of you, then each person needs to do their own travel authorization. All right. So it tells you here the steps and the process, how long it takes. So I would highly advise that you come here and read through this. They give you a sample. You'll need to print this. I recommend that you print this and take it with you. If it's on your phone as a backup, that's fine, but I would not depend on it just being on your phone and email because, you know, life happens and the internet does not always work like we expect it to. So you want to print this because you're going to need this at the airport. They will not let you out the country without this information. So there's 2 things so far, was 3 things you can't get out of the country with. You can't get out with your valid passport. You can't get out with this travel authorization, and you cannot get out without that COVID test. So those 3 things that you cannot have, each individual must have. All right. And so just to let you know, if you want to know how to apply, you just click on the URL. And it tells you, do you live in Jamaica? Yes or no. You would say no. And then it loads the application. Okay. So that I'm not going to walk through the step, but here's everything. I've shown you how to complete the non-resident online application, right? So that's your travel authorization. Next, your COVID-19 testing requirements. I'm back on the same, the initial visit jamaica.com travel authorization screen. When I scroll down to the COVID-19 test requirements, it tells you here, it gives you your testing requirements and what you need in order to get out the country. If you're not quite sure what the 3-day validity period is, there's a calculator here. Select the test calculator, and I'm gonna select that. When it pops up, it takes you directly to the whole process. So literally, they have everything here. All you need to do is come here to scroll down. It says, when can I take my COVID test? Your travel date, if your travel date is the 17th, your date is 2/14. If your flight leaves at 12 noon on 2/17, then you don't need to take that test before 2/14, 12 noon. It has to be those exact 3 days in advance. If you're leaving on the 18th, then you need to take it on the 15th. Okay. So yeah. And I'm going to give you this link as well because it's the link to the calculator and it walks you through everything. Any questions about what I just spoke about?
I do have a question. On the Iberostar website, they did offer free antigen testing. And I can't really see the screen this big because I'm on my phone, but you said we need the PCR testing and able to get into Jamaica, correct?
That's correct. So that is
Okay.
on your way into Jamaica. That's going to enter into Jamaica. I'm gonna talk about the exit process in one moment here. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So to get into Jamaica, you must have a valid passport, your Jamaica travel authorization, and a negative PCR test taken within 3 days. Here's the key with the testing, and there's something key point. You want to take the rapid test because sometimes those other tests, they may not come back in time. To get the rapid test, you can go to, and I'm not sure your pharmacies in your area, your CVS, Walgreens, or Rite Aid. Those are the ones in my area, right? And so when you go there, when you go online to schedule your test, you want to say that either you've been exposed or you're traveling. If you say you're traveling, sometimes it may not give you the test that you need. So you definitely want to say you've been exposed so you can get that rapid test. Okay, that's the key. All right. So I'm trying to help you guys make sure that you get to Jamaica. Now, on the return to the US, here's your next travel tip. Well, we talked about the pre-departure, but again, you want to plan this as well. When returning to the US, you're going to schedule your COVID-19 testing upon arrival at check-in. Okay. So once you get to your Beer Star property and you check in, you want to ask them about your COVID testing. All right. What is the process for COVID testing? If you travel internationally, it's pretty much kind of how they do excursions, right? But each property might be slightly different, but some of them will schedule it for you. And sometimes you have to go and actually schedule it yourself. You want to ask that property what's required. According to their website, they're showing that it is free. So they're showing that it's currently free, which is good news because at one point it was $150. I know I told you guys maybe a month or so ago it was $150. They changed it back to free. All right. So when you log in, you go to the website to the property to check in, just ask them about the free COVID testing and what is the process for doing that. And you will need to take that 24 hours prior to the date. Once you get your test results, they'll typically email those to you. If you can print them great, at least take a screenshot of them on the phone before you leave the property. They will accept it. Can I ask everyone to mute, please, because I'm hearing a lot of feedback. Yeah, so you're able to show it on your phone, but your signal doesn't always work properly in the airport. So at least take a screenshot or try to have a copy of it somehow so that you can get back home, because you will need that in order to board to come back to the USA. And that test must be taken 24 hours, 1 day prior to travel. Any questions about the COVID testing? I will let you guys know, I am going to be out of pocket February the 10th, February 10th through about the 16th, like 100%, I will not be able to communicate. Mark and Bria are already aware, which is why I'm recording this webinar in case you have questions. You're going to have to go to them during that time period. But I should be available the 16th. It's just that I have to have major surgery, so I might be a little loopy in the head, which is why I can't come to Jamaica. But I may be a little loopy. However, you can send me an email, but you want to follow these requirements in these recordings I've given to you in the email and contact Bria or Mark. Hopefully, you won't have any issues if you follow the Jamaica travel authorization. Everything is there that you need, and this webinar should really close the gaps. I will tell you, it is critical for those who just joined the line, again, for you to get me your flight information if you haven't already done so, though, so I can get your transfers, because if anything, that's probably going to be the last minute detail that you're going to need to remember. All right. I don't have anything else, Mark or Bria. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Not really. I just want to thank you again for even hosting this meeting and, giving our travelers, some information, some very good information regarding COVID and the hotels. Thank you all again for even jumping on this call. I know it's Saturday morning. Most of you are probably still in the bed. That's why I don't see your pretty faces. But if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to Patina, Bria, or myself, and we'll make sure to get you your questions answered.
Yes. Yes. All right. If there is nothing else, I'm gonna go figure out how to download this recording, and I will make sure that we get it over. I'll get over to you, Bria, Mark, as well, and I'll send it out to this crew via email.
Thanks, Patina.